G'day, welcome to part 7 of the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet review. Thanks for clicking. Again, if you're new, this is, again, part 7. Playlist is right up there if you want to start from the beginning. But if you're not new, welcome back. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Here we go. I was checking out what sort of moves Code Radical had learned before I got my hands on them, at an earlier level, and surprise, surprise, I found Pluck, which is kind of decent at this level. And just in case any of the other Pokemon I had any secret moves stashed away, I went through them as well. Nothing for the most part. For Bear Grylls and Screamy Dog, I didn't really expect anything anyway. Huh? Play rough? 19 base power? Play rough? I can learn that? Did they mess up? Is this a bit of pre-patch shenanigans? No. Apparently it learns it at level 18. That's odd. How did that happen? I didn't get no prompt to learn Play Rough. Turns out, that little auto battle system we've been using for a while now, it doesn't prompt you to learn new moves nor evolve your Pokemon. So I guess when I hit level 18 on Screamy Dog here, it was through the auto battle system. But what if, let's say, just for, an example, let's say you want your Pokemon to learn new moves and evolve. Even though it's a brand new game and not only do you not know when certain Pokemon evolve or learn new moves, plus the fact that the auto battle system is pushed so heavily by the game itself, having multiple pop-up tutorials urging you to try it out and the whole TM system revolving around auto battling Pokemon to get the materials. Let's say you just don't auto battle with the Pokemon you're about to level up or evolve, or is going to get a new move. That'll stop it from, leveling up, right? Oh wait, Game Freak got rid of the option to turn off the XP share, so have fun moving all your Pokemon to the box because that's great game design. Of course, you can obviously go back and learn the moves at any time if the little icon pops up like, hey, I can learn a new move. It comes up with a little light bulb next to the Pokemon, which, they don't really explain. So I didn't actually know any of this playing the rest of the game. I only learned about the little light bulb or the way they don't evolve in auto battling after completing the game. So going forward, if you notice a Pokemon without a certain move or one that hasn't evolved yet, just remember I still thought Fido could remember Play Rough at level 1 and not that the game was shouting all over me because I was utilizing a feature they really pushed me to use. Anyhow, this area is set up for the Stony Cliff Titan, which should be somewhere around it. Ooh, that's a little creepy. I'd still say it's a little creepy, but that illusion shattered once I noticed every single one of its legs clipping through the cliff here. Okay. Gee, I wonder where the Titan's gonna break open the cliff. What a Pokemon to pick for the Titan. Holy moly, the eyes rotating around to stare at you. The fact that it's a giant crab, this is 100% gonna give kids nightmares. Well, I mean, not if that happens. I guess this is another example of what happens when you don't level scale your challenges in an open world game alongside not having a set path to follow. You can't say the game's well balanced when the first two things you need to do are on opposite sides of the map. The Titan runs away like before, but this time the game allows us to move around for a little bit, or in other words, go and find the Titan. I feel like they really didn't think this bit through. The Titan jumps off the cliff and naturally you go to follow him down, only to teleport out of there because the cutscene needs you to be somewhere else. Also, if you were still standing there, you would have got bashed by the big beaty claws and got buried under the rubble. Anyway, Arvin joins us once again. I don't have to mention the cutscene jank, do I? For a double battle against the souped up, or I guess I should say herbed up, Titan. Or not. Where the heck is he? It says there's a shelter here, but I ain't seeing nothing. What a well-made game. Anyway, Clorf got off a grand total of one move, that being block on Microsoft Sam. You've only sealed your fate. Then promptly bit the dust and shrunk down to the size of a pea. And that's not just me talking about the fainting animation. Look at him. Overall, this Titan battle was the least memorable fight so far, mainly due to it going down like a total bitch. I'll say it again, it's really not that hard to level scale these things, Check it out, I'll explain it in like 5 seconds. Look, I got 5 Titans here and a variable number from 1 to 5 stored away in the background of the code, whatever. All Titans start at level, let's say 10 for example. I beat 1 Titan and the variable number for these Titans goes from 1 to 2. Crazy stuff. And upon starting the next Titan fight, the game checks the variable number, sees that it's 2, not 1, and pulls up a fight with a level 20 Titan instead of the level 10 one. It's not hard, it's incredibly easy, actually. Arvid and I hop inside the cave the Titan made with its big meaty claws to find another sprig of parsley. This cave looks a little familiar, even down to the herb placement. Almost as if It's the exact same cave as before. How weird! Man, even the moss is in the exact same place. Like, a little bit of effort, like, come on! Arvin makes us another delicious sandwich alongside handing us another badge for the help. Again, man, I don't know why you're asking me to join you for this. You're clearly capable on your own. Crydon, of course, eats my sandwich, the gluttonous bastard, and relearns another one of his powers.
I'm the Dash.
He also goes to eat Arvin's sandwich. Total jerk behavior. And Arvin, quite rightly, pulls out his fists and pummels Corydon into submission. Okay, no he doesn't, but he does get mighty miffed. Main reason because he hasn't actually been eating the sandwiches himself, but he's been giving them to his Pokemon, Mabostiff. Alvin, I know you're in the middle of like a touching moment here, caring for your half-dead dog, but is there time for another RadicalSoda's awesome Pokemon evaluation here? Arvin tells us that Mabostiff here got hurt really badly a while ago and never fully recovered. He's tried everything under the sun to heal him, and if these herbs don't work, it's the final nail in the coffin. Literally, I think. Of course, Mr. Soderbergh's dumbass can only think of saying potions don't work, or have you tried a Pokemon Center? Arvin should have roundhoused Mr. Soderbergh right there and then over that remark. Have you tried a Pokemon Center? Oh, you mean the most popular way to heal your Pokemon in the world? Have you tried a Pokemon Center? What's interesting is that when Arvin opens up his big fancy book about Area Zero and the Herba Mystica, it shows us an image of said herbs, and they don't look anything like the sprigs we've been seeing. Quite honestly, I prefer the way the book handles them, each one being unique. Not just all different flavors of the same strain. Makes them feel more like a candy with multiple flavors now, rather than a mystical herb with healing properties. Either the artists and the modelers weren't communicating with each other very well, or the herbs originally, and only originally, were all very unique. Then again, Game Freak's out here not even bothering to model a major item used in battles frequently, so they could just be they went with the one herb and said, good enough! Copy-paste that bitch 5 times and Hugh shift the crap out of it! Game's already practically out the door, we got like 5 minutes here, folks. The cutscenes with Arvin and his nearly dead dog are pretty touching, for a Pokemon game at least. It all kind of falls flat when you realize Arvin doesn't actually touch his dog at all during this cutscene, it mainly due to the majority of the cutscenes just using pre-made animations. Like, pay the animators a living wage and let Arvin pat his dog, for crying out loud. If you want to show people in Pokemon have a special connection in this world, you gotta put a little bit of extra effort in. Professor Sada gives us another call to say, hey, did you know you can run? The dash move is a blessing and a curse. On the plus side, you move faster. Great! On the negative side, the game could barely render in stuff at the regular speed. You think it can handle more shit loading in faster? It's like a free slowdown button. Like, technically you're moving faster, but at what cost? To be honest, I think the 2D wind effects from dashing slow down the game as well. Every time I start the dash, the game chugs. It's ridiculous. It's a base function of the game. They expect you to use, I don't know, hundreds, if not thousands of times, and it lags the game. What can I say about that? What can anyone say about that? Well, we can try to ignore it and continue our way through the west area and stumble across a new town. Boy, do I love that 2 FPS windmill. I really do think it might be 2 FPS. This town is called Artisan, and surprisingly, unlike the other towns, there's a ton of unique stuff to do here. Just kidding, literally the same shit as every other town so far. Nothing new, nothing interesting, everything runs like ass. It has a few interesting set pieces, I guess. It has a bunch of artwork all around the town, statues, hedges, there's a playground you can't do anything in, windmill, flowers. It feels so uncanny. I don't think anyone actually lives here. Like, we've got 12 buildings, all shops, but they just kind of look plonked in, like a toy building or something. Like, where's the foundation? Did you just build directly onto the cobblestone? Either way, if 0 people live here, does that make this less of a town and more of like a, I don't know, tourist attraction? Let me know if it was like this in the anime. It's just such a weird setup for a town, which is unfortunate because it's genuinely one of the more memorable ones, just for the art theming alone. What with the big windmill in the center, it's actually a shame it looks and runs like ass. I feel like it could have looked really nice, you know, in an alternate universe where Pokemon doesn't rush out their games. Anyway, gym time. Like every other gym, this one is a challenge to complete before getting to face the leader, and it's hide and seek. Or more like seek and seek. We gotta find 10 Sunflora before time runs out. Or I guess not, I scrubbed that last part. We gotta find 10 Sunflora, full stop. Gosh, they're probably really well hidden if there's no time limit, right? Think I'd have a harder time finding a stable frame rate, am I right?
What do you mean?
This challenge ain't anything, challenging. But it does give you an excuse to wander around the town and see the sights I previously mentioned while grabbing some flora along the way. Now that I'm looking at it after already having played it, maybe it would have been neat to have the maze be the challenge here. Obviously not this maze, but a big custom one made for the challenge itself with trainer battles and traps along the way. That could have been cool. Anyway, I found my tints on flora pretty quickly and made my way back to... oh... That is what I mean. Holy crap. I feel like Game Freak didn't quite realize how crappily their game ran. Either that or they just didn't care. I'm opting for the latter. If you're gonna have a challenge like this, like, at least make it run at all. I think it's obvious when I say Game Freak, when I say Game Freak doesn't care about the quality, I'm talking about the director, the people in charge. You're telling me they took a look at this and they said, yes, the constant employee crunch, the rush deadlines, the half-baked production process all culminating in this? Yep, that looks great, ship it. Like, how much more clearly can you say that you're just in it for the money? This is a non-optional early game requirement that you need to finish in order to progress. You have to see this to get anywhere in this game. You must see this in order to finish it. You can't tell me that this game is finished or worth full price. I am seething over here. Anyway, you get the Sunflora back to the paddock. Why do they keep Sunflora in a paddock? I don't know. And you get the chance to finally battle Brassius, the grass-type gym leader. Hey, you want to know what Pokemon isn't on Brassius' team? Sunflora! Brassius, I guess, decided the 2 FPS windmill was gonna be a safety hazard, so I guess he turned it off before he leapt from the damn thing. Then 2 seconds later, it's back on again. I guess I'll never understand the mysteries of the Pokemon world. Weirdly enough, in this town full of flowers and sun and art, Brassius is a dark, broody sort of dude with a theme of whips and thorns, which... I mean, that's fine. It's not like the theme of the town has to reflect the theme of the gym leader, even if a dark, foreboding, foresty town with thorny vines everywhere could have been a great change of pace. Not that Game Freak could make a forest without the game cutting off its own oxygen supply. There is one forest in the game, after all, and by golly, we'll get to that. But what sort of team does Brassius have? Something to complement his theme, maybe? Roselia, the thorny rose Pokemon? Maybe Ferroseed? Carnivine? Tangela could work well here, what with the whip. Oh, I know there's a new grass ghost type Pokemon in this game that has thorns. Maybe he uses that. And if they're doing the whole last Pokemon as a different type to the gym leader's type that they terrestrialize into the gym's typing thing, he could even have something like a Toxapex or a Mareanie or, whatever's the right level here. Could even work with the grass typing. Could shut down a fire type with its water moves. So what's he got? Petalil, Smoliv, and Sudowoodo. Okay, I might have set myself up a disappointment on that one. Brassius is another cakewalk, all things considered. Holy crap, his fringe is coming out of his eyebrow. Talk about having the opposite of a receding hairline. This thing's approaching and fast. His Pokemon each have only 2 moves, just like Katie, but funnily enough, his Sudowoodo actually puts up a bit of a fight. Well, not to me, he just keeps spamming Trailblaze over and over again instead of just using Rock Throw, which probably would have done some actual damage, meaning all I did this entire battle was spam Aerial Ace. But the mix of Sudowoodo having Rock Throw, if he chooses to use it, alongside the Grass Hat, is actually a decent idea. Sending out a flying ice or fire type against it is a bad idea because of Rock Throw, so that already helps deal with some of the grass type weaknesses. Honestly, I don't know why he was so set on spamming Trailblaze. Did he want to get faster than me or something? Because if he had started off by throwing rocks, he might have actually had a chance to play. Our battle was, in a word, art. I mean, sure, if you find art boring and repetitive. After taking a picture and acquiring the blandest grass badge I've ever seen, we run into a guy hanging out in the gym lobby. Is that a cape? This man's name is Hassel, and he's an Elite Four member. He's also the art teacher at Naranja Academy. Cool! He asks one of the many questions in the game that has no impact no matter how you answer. I don't even think that most of them even have different reactions. Here, he just acknowledges that you answered his question. Like, come on, man. I don't want to keep pointing out how easy it is to add a bit of agency to your game. Like, what, you've got 4 answers here, each one different enough. Have Hassel give you a simple item different for each answer. I want to get stronger. He gives you a protein. for the gains. My friend asked me to. Obviously, friendship is important here. Maybe he gives you an item to increase your friendship with a Pokemon, a Soothe Bell, or a friendship increasing berry. I want to find my treasure. He gives you a wide lens. It's not hard. Make the question mean something, for crying out loud. Anyway, he waddles off because I think he pooed himself, and that's that for the grass gym. Immediately following, I unlocked a bunch of new classes, so obviously that was the next stop. What's better than playing a video game after all? Learning about the video game instead of playing it. Just kidding around. As I said before, I like the idea of these classes, even if they are a bit clunky with the way they're implemented. First up, we have history with Miss Rifle. Please, for the love of God, switch up the music. I've had enough of the trumpets! Now, obviously, history class is all about the, history of the region. A few eagle-eyed viewers out there might notice a reference to Legends Arceus on the smartboard there. Well, eagle-eyed is a bit of an over-exaggeration. Game Freak is practically begging you to notice the Pokeball hair. What is going on with that front of hair? Ms. Reifert mentions to the class that something was once believed to be in the depths of Area Zero and specifically points me out to answer what that thing was, because I am the main character and the world revolves around me. Well, these are just some amazing answers, aren't they? It's clear they're coming from the same great mind that brought us. Have you tried a Pokemon Center? Look, it's Professor Lavender! It's him! He was the only historical figure they could have used! Buy Legends Arceus, kids! Anyway, so we learned people believed there was a treasure at the bottom of Area Zero, and then the bell rings, so class is over, I guess. Could you imagine if Game Freak actually made a full hour-long cutscene for each class, all about the Pokemon world and how it works? Actually, good lord, I'd kill for that. Second history class ahoy, and Miss Reifert is back to teach us all about empires and dictatorships. That took a very real turn all of a sudden. And God, that's gotta be the lowest resolution smartboard I've ever seen. How do the kids learn anything at all? You can't even read the text! Miss Reifert mentions people in the past more easily believed in mysterious legends and magic and beings beyond human comprehension, and this was a result of their civilization not being as developed as it is now. Are we playing the same game here? Developed is not the word I'd use for this. Also, mysterious legends, magic, and beings beyond human comprehension. I can point to multiple things in Pokemon that match those criteria. Mysterious legends, literally any legendary Pokemon. Magic, where's the water coming from here? And beings beyond human comprehension. Ultra Breeze? Maybe this is all just a tongue-in-cheek joke the devs threw in, or maybe Miss Reifert is the Paldean equivalent to a flat earther and doesn't believe in legendary Pokemon. Then she asks us how many years ago the Paldean Empire began the rule of the region, and man, I don't give a crap about that. How's that gonna help me out later on in life? Remembering a number? What a terrible question. Look, man, I remembered that it was a dictatorship and that they thought a treasure was at the bottom of Area Zero. Not this number crap. Miss Reifert's horrendous teaching style aside, we've still got more classes to take, and next up is languages with Mr. Salvatore. My brother in Christ, did you mistake your butcher for a barber? Mr. Salvatore, as you may have guessed, teaches little sayings in other languages, but this also means that, at least for the first few classes, there's nothing really to do with Pokemon here. I might as well have picked up baby's first Spanish lesson. I don't get it. At least teach me Pokemon names in other languages. Like Puppy Mochi. Anyway, aside from the affront to nature straddling Mr. Salvatore's head, there's nothing to really say about either of his classes. The only thing of value this class brings is maybe getting a young kid to learn a few words in another language. You know, in real life, not the kids in the classroom because they barely exist as it is. But the problem with that is, as you know, there's no actual voice acting in the game, so kids in real life are gonna have no idea how the words are actually pronounced. Let's not forget all the funny symbols. Who's this class for exactly? Well, I guess it doesn't matter, because next up is art with, well, look who it is. Elite Four member Mr. Hassel. And just look at those wonderful paintings at the back of the classroom there. That's the sort of charm this game needs more of. Mr. Hassel actually mentioned some good stuff here, like finding appreciation in the little things, like a flower by the side of the road, or artisans' windmills. Hey look, it's Nimona! And is that an old man? I remember people of all ages are allowed to enroll in the school, but why does he have to wear the uniform? There's something really sad about a guy over 50 being forced to wear orange shorts and a tie. Even the older students out in the overworld are forced to wear the uniform. It's ridiculously stupid looking. Let them wear normal clothes. Let me wear normal clothes. For the second class, Mr. Hassel brings in an assistant teacher. that I would not trust around my kids. He uses Gibble's Terra Crystal as the inspiration for today, although it is just kind of a tutorial in disguise, unlike the first lesson. Oh my god, it's the girl from the stairs, and she's still not wearing the uniform, even though she's literally in class! God, I hate her! Last class of the day is home ec with Mr. Mama. This class seems to be all about the picnic and sandwich portion of the game, which makes a lot of sense. Much more than 2,000 years rifen over here. And of course Arvin makes an appearance. It is his whole sort of deal after all. Mr. Saguaro teaches us a little bit more about meal powers and then asks me, of course it's me, I'm the only real person here, everybody else is just an NPC, but of course, what I have to keep in mind if I want to get helpful meal powers. And while making a sandwich as fast as humanly possible sounds fun in theory, the choice of fillings and condiments is obviously the way to go. Obviously. In the second class, Mr. Saguaro teaches us that the landscape in Paldea is so littered with junk lying around that if you're out of potions or can't find a Poke Center, not hard when you can teleport to them at will, all you have to do is look around for a bit to find something or rather like a potion. Makes me wonder how there could actually be so much unused stock from the Pokemon lying around. I suppose if you restock in one of the shops up on the mountain, stuff's bound to fall off at some point. There weren't any classes after that, but I decided to take a look around the school again anyway. It turns out there's a bunch more rooms to take a look at, mainly just the same classrooms you've already been in, but there's a couple of new ones too. Went straight to the school store, the first of the new rooms, and yep, it's a school store. Nothing new here, but I mean, it's a store, you can shop if you like. Biology lab next, and it turns out Mr. JK Crazy here is the one behind the Pokédex app. You know, you can put ads on the thing. Everybody uses it. You could be a millionaire overnight. He gives us a little mission to register 30 Pokemon and check back. I didn't have them at the time because registering means catching, not just seeing, but I went through just to make sure on my Pokédex here. And I would say that the constant image switching happening was a previous patch problem, but I'd be lying straight to your face. What the heck kind of coding do you need to mess up to have the wrong icons on the Pokemon's entries here? Going through the Pokédex in this gen is like pulling teeth. It's slow and it's painful. Sure, the other Pokédexes were kinda slow, having to scroll down a single list, but I thought at least in this one I could use the pictures to maybe speed up what Pokemon I'm looking for. Can't exactly use the names because they're all sideways. What a totally scuffed system here. It's the freaking Pokédex. It should work. It's a glorified menu. You can't tell me this is acceptable. I absolutely hated using this thing and stayed as far away from it as I could throughout my playthrough, only using it when absolutely necessary. The constantly changing wrong images threw me off that badly. Look at this. Venonat's sure looking weird today. So is Flittle. And Clorf and Capsicud's entries just fucking spoiled 2 new Pokemon. You can't tell me that's okay. Half the fun of a new Pokemon game is seeing the new Pokemon for the first time. It's hard enough avoiding spoilers on the internet, but now I gotta watch out for them in the game itself. JK, your app sucks ass. And it doesn't even get the heights right. Arcanine is 6'3". Excuse me, fellas. Okay, if Arcanine is 6'3", my character is 6 foot. That's from my Nuzlocke, but we'll get to that later. I booked it out of there to see what else I could do here. Yo, what up, Mr. Hassel? Do you find my class difficult? You asked me a question I couldn't get wrong in the first class, and then in the second you asked me what type of flower crown is. It's just right for me, I guess. You became slightly closer with Mr. Hassel. You wish this was Persona. This pops up every now and again with certain teachers or staff. It's essentially a sort of soft quest line where you just have to finish all their conversations, classes, and sometimes bring them something. But we'll get to that. I may have 100% of the game. We have a quick chat with Mr. Saguaro. His little story doesn't really start yet. And then head over to the staff room. Mr. Salvatore is here. Look, man, I'm only here to tell you I hate your haircut. And Miss Reifert's here too. She acts a little suspicious here, and alongside the Marshadow accessory in her hair, I guess it's hinted at that she might be up to no good. There was even a fan theory out there that she was going to go full-blown villain at some point, but we'll finish her quest later on and that doesn't happen. So maybe Game Freak wanted to do more with her and they didn't have the time to do it. Nobody really knows. Miss Time's also hanging around in the staff room and she's got math for us to do. Not a trick question this time, thankfully, but now I'm ready for him, you see. A little kid runs up to Miss Time and asks if she used to be a gym leader, which, yes, she was indeed. We also give Director Clavel a visit, still sitting in a far too low chair, as is his prerogative. He asks us for a bit of advice on a bit of slang he's heard here and there from the students. What does chuggy mean? Is this real? Am I old? I don't even know if this was a real word or something Pokemon invented specifically for this one cutscene, but I guessed it meant being outdated and uncool, and yep, that's right. What a strange question to ask in a Pokemon game. Not that it's a bad question, I'd never heard of it before. Am I the Chugi in this scenario? Another new room, the nurse's office, is our next visit. Who is that? Really? You're gonna start the cutscene on that? This is Nurse Miriam, and she's another great example of Game Freak's stellar character design. Not that one. She's just cute, alright? Like the band-aid below the knee, the pill pins on her coat, the different hues of purple hair. I like it, okay? And I'm probably gonna be using her for the illustration for the final, big video when it all comes out together. And I know I ain't the only Miriam fan out there. When her TCG card came out, it was the most expensive of the bunch, at least in that expansion. It's a neat card too, although I did notice they kept getting her hair color wrong. It's not pink and purple, it's two different hues of purple. Like a simple side-to-side comparison shows you how different they really are. Nurse Miriam wanted to be a health teacher at the school, but couldn't quite pass the certification exam to become one. Well, don't you worry, Nurse Miriam. I will make it my life's goal to make sure you succeed at your dream for no particular reason on my part. And I'll do that by, talking to you every now and again and progress your plotline along. There's really not that much I can actually do here. Funnily enough, there's no real Nurse Miriam merch. For a popular character in your latest game, you'd think Game Freak at least makes something with her other than a singular TCG card. Only really super popular characters and main protagonists get merchandise like statues and figures though, so that's definitely not happening. I mean, I get it, the human characters are always gonna fly under the radar compared to the Pokemon themselves. Gotta make sure the shelves are stocked full of groin blaster armor rouge. Look at the posters on the wall. Why can't I read the text on those, but the smartboards are all running in native 144p? What textures get what treatment here? Yo, can somebody please make a playable Nurse Miriam mod for Sonic Unleashed? Thought I was gonna scream, didn't you? Miss Dendra's out in the schoolyard and steals Nemona's theme while she's at it. What the heck? She asks us to run laps with her, which equates to another black screen and text box combo, the Sonic Forces Special, as I like to call it. And as a reward, she gives us one of her homemade sandwiches. Miss Dendra's sandwich was dry and had an odd smell. The taste left much to be desired. Why, she steal my sandwich recipe too? With that, we've seen everything new at the school, and it's time to reorient ourselves with the treasure hunt. One quick trip back to Artisan later, and guys, don't look now, but I think the androids are combining. They might be becoming stronger. Figured I'd do a little bit of exploring, find some TMs, battle some Pokemon. Oh, phone call. It's real dark here. Did I get kidnapped? Where am I? Cassiopeia calls us because apparently we got too close to one of the Team Star bases, and because Game Freak has no idea how to do things naturally, they teleported me here to the entrance of the base, which, by the way, is 400 meters away and down a cliff. But before we can really get into the swing of things, a sexy new character joins the fray. Who is this? Clive is a dude with some unsettled business with Team Star and offers to help out with dethroning each of the 5 bosses. Apparently, if we beat them in a Pokemon battle, they just kind of give up and go home. Clive cheers us on and Director Clavel! I'm going to be brutally honest with you all, at the risk of my image being tarnished. I genuinely did not realize Clive was Director Clavel until this text box popped up. I don't know what they did here. It was like a Superman Clark Kent moment. I think I may be genuinely the only person in the world to play this game and not recognize him immediately. What the heck was that? Cliff was there, gone, back again? Why did it vanish in the first place? I don't get it. How's this game coded in such a way where this happens? I would genuinely like to know. Really. I want to know. I've never seen anything like it before. I get stopped right out the gate by a Team Star member who says he's gonna self-defense the snot right out of me. Actually a pretty good line. I'm sorry. You get told you gotta get the crap beat out of you, and then just cutting to this is just funny. How much of a run-up do you need? Well, that's that for another Scarlet and Violet review episode. Question for you, while I have you here. I know this is going to be a bit skewed because if you've been watching this far into the series, you're well aware of the state these Pokemon games are being released in, but what with Legends AZ coming out next year, ZA, do you think the quality will be improved from this game, or heck, even Legends Arceus for that matter? I thought Arceus was very buggy, not to mention empty and boring. I didn't like it at all, but I do know that many people thought it was super good, so let me know. What are your predictions? Genuinely really interesting always to hear what people have to say. I'll be down there in the comments looking at them, sometimes responding, mostly not. I'm usually just a lurker. Anyway, until next time.